How would you like to become a powerful storyteller and turn your adversities and challenges into your advantage and setups for success? Today's subject is about becoming a powerful storyteller. In fact, I'm going to give you the 3 secrets to powerful storytelling. I know you love the show.
Cowboy.
Welcome to a daily dose of greatness quest with your host, Trevor Crane, my daddy. He's going to help you take your life and business to the next level.
Here I come to save the day.
Trevor Crane here, 11-time #1 best-selling author and the founder of Epic Author Publishing, coming to you live every day so you can plug in every day to build your ideal business so you can live your ideal life.
If my daddy can do it, then anybody can do it because he's a weirdo.
You're supposed to make me sound cool.
Okay, I'm going to give you a template today, a tactical piece that you can use when you're crafting a story and a message, whether it is something you share on a podcast, whether it is something that you write a blog about, if you make a video, if you're creating a course or program and you want to influence someone, I highly suggest that you use this template. So my promise to you is that today you're going to learn these 3 powerful storytelling secrets so that you can gain the attention of the people that you most want to talk to so that they understand that you exist. Number 2, so that you can go ahead and attract the right people so that not only do you get their attention, but you get the eyeballs of people that are going, ooh, hold on, I think I like that, and repel those who would have no interest whatsoever in this subject matter. This is a good thing. And then compel them to take action where they're like, oh my God. Excuse me, I just joked. Where have you been all my life? Like attention, attraction, action. That's what I'm going to share with you today on the show. Now, I want to tell you a quick story about this first. I used to suck at sales. I used to be so scared when it came to sales and storytelling and public speaking and telling stories in such a way that would get people to take action with me, like scared me to death. In fact, at one stage, I almost closed one of my businesses. I was running a parasail business, and my first year in that business, we grossed $89,000. That was how much money we brought in. Sounded not bad, except that we owned a parasail boat that had a lot of insurance and a lot of gas and a lot of bills, and we had more bills than we did money. So I lost money. And I needed to learn how to sell and influence. And it came from the power of storytelling. And I had to learn how to tell stories on that boat and how to use my words and communication and get over all my own fears and failures when it came to sales and influence and to try to make enough money. At one stage, I had to go get a job to support my business habit like I was some kind of crack addict, like I was smoking heroin on the side or whatever you do with heroin. I don't know, some kind of crack type stuff on the side. And I had to go get a job waiting tables at night. It was so hard for me to make enough money in my business, and I didn't understand how to sell. I didn't understand how to communicate in any way that gave people permission to, or not even less, a desire to want to give me their cash. And so subsequently, I almost lost everything. And it wasn't until I'd reached the stage of, I was going out of my mind. I wasn't sleeping. I was wait tables all night. I'd only sleep a few hours a night. I'd get up in the morning and go run my boat all day out in the sun. And then I would shower on the beach again, and I would go back to I would shower on the beach at night. I'd run across the street to wait tables until the wee hours of the morning and do that again and again and again. And after 4 months or 5 months of that, I thought I was going to die, especially when I had mechanical challenges with my boat and I got even less sleep because I had to go deal with it in the middle of the night and try to borrow, and bribe people to mechanics to help me so I could try to run my boat all day to barely just make enough money to get by. And what ended up happening is I found one guy, his name was Jerry, and Jerry helped me sell a t-shirt. what I was doing is I would only make about $100 a night waiting tables. I don't know if that makes me a bad waiter, but I wasn't making much money. And I was looking at it and I'm like, I'm going to die if I don't figure out how to do something. I need to figure out, like, all I really needed to do was to make an extra $100 a day. Like, if I could do that on my boat when I was out there for 8-10 hours a day, then I didn't have to work my evening job. And I looked around, and once a week, I would have Jerry come out on my boat. And on that day he came out on my boat, he would sell 10 shirts. And I had t-shirts on my boat and they weren't selling very well. I don't know if it was the design or a variety of things. I wasn't quite sure. I would try to pay an artist to make me a new design of a new t-shirt. I'd try a tank top. I'd try a tie-dye shirt. I did a whole bunch of things to try to sell t-shirts, but I couldn't do it. I would sell 1 or 2 t-shirts a month. Jerry would come out, and every Friday he'd work on my boat. He was just a retired guy, just liked to come out on the boat, and he was my captain or my mate on Friday, and he'd sell 10, 12 shirts a day, and like clockwork. And I was looking at it, and let's say that I made a $10 profit per shirt. I probably did a little bit better than that, but guess what? That just made up my $100. All I had to figure out how to do was to sell these t-shirts every day during the week instead of only when Jerry showed up. So what I did is I finally got desperate enough to go ahead and ask Jerry. I'm like, brother, how are you doing this? And he said, here you go. And he showed me his system, which was basically a process, a step-by-step system. And it was one that he told stories and he asked questions and he taught me about powerful influence. And when I first heard it, I hated it. I didn't like anything about it. I thought it was sleazy, slimy, shitty, cheesy. But it wasn't until I was almost at the stage where I thought I would die if I had to keep going on working a job and running my business all day that I was finally able to listen to him. And I listened to him and I took notes and I went out there and then guess how many shirts I sold on Saturday after he gave me the plan on Friday and I took notes and I was finally willing to do this. Guess how many shirts I sold on Saturday? I'm just curious. Come on, answer the question. Did I sell 1? Did I sell 10? Did I sell 20? Come on, I was a really motivated guy. I sold none. Zip, zilch, 0. I didn't sell another shirt until Jerry came back the next Friday. And I was completely confused and disenchanted and thought this sucked and I had learned the wrong system. And I was pissed at Jerry and pissed at myself, but Jerry came out and sold another 10, 12 shirts that next day. And what I ended up doing is realizing as much as I had gotten the system, I was still missing it. I had not become a powerful influencer. I had not used the power of story. And this happened again with me when I started doing public. Now, hold on. Here's what I did. I'm going to tell you how I cracked the code on this. I was going to tell you another story, but let me enter what ended up happening. I basically begged Jerry to come out and work with me for 2 weeks on the boat every single day. And what he did as my mentor is I got practice actually telling my story and talking about these shirts and the combination in this formula. I'm going to give you a formula today that is going to make you a very powerful storyteller. If you understand this formula, I'm going to give it to you tactically. It only has 3 parts. It's very simple. There's 3 secrets to attracting the right type of people who getting their attention, attracting them, and getting them to take action, but I didn't know it at the time. And what I needed to do was practice this, and it took me 2 weeks. And what happened is 2 weeks working with Jerry, I just paid him anything to get him to stay out with me every day on the boat. I finally cracked the code. I figured out the system and the script and storytelling. And what happened is not only did I learn how to sell 10 shirts a day, I learned how to sell 20. And then I didn't just learn how to sell them myself. I learned how to teach my crew to sell them. So regardless of whether or not I was on the boat or I had a brand new hire in my business, and I started to expand and become more successful, because once I learned the power of influence and storytelling in one part of my business, I was able to implement it elsewhere. And I made my first $1 million working in that water sports business. And it all came from down to the power of storytelling and learning how to tell a story. And I started off sucking at it. And then when I tried to get good at it, it sucked and got even worse. And it took me a while to figure this out. So it's okay if you haven't figured this shit out yet. And it's okay if you don't feel comfortable with this yet. And did it end there? No, it didn't end there. Because what happened is when I chose to now communicate in different ways, let's say you communicate as a public speaker, and I was up on stage and I'm speaking and I'm teaching and I'm training and I'm trying to make sales. At the end of it, I say, hey, you guys get a lot of value from that? Yes! And I'm a good public speaker. Some people would argue with that, but let's say that I would get compliments. Oh my gosh, that was so nice. You told such good stories. We like you. How many people bought my shit? None. Zip, zilch, zero. Which was a whole nother lesson about learning how to use the power of story in such a way that got people begging to take action with me. And then when I went to go ahead and learn, and I solved that one, by the way, and now that's not an issue. I can get people to buy from me on stage. I'm not going to get into the details on that, but now I can do it. And it took me, there was a path. And there was a magic to doing it, and there's secrets to doing it. I'm going to give those to you today. It happened again to me when I went to learn to sell things online. And when I learned to what message I was going to put inside my book, and what message I was going to put inside my webinar, and what message I was going to put in an email or a sales letter, or I changed the method of communication again and I wanted to put it into a video sales letter. Every time I changed the mechanism, the delivery mechanism, I had to relearn how to use these variables. Now I want to make this super simple for you and give it into you in a little plan here. Okay. I cracked all the codes on all of that. Now I can write a #1 best-selling book. I can go ahead and I know what to do, what to say, and I know how to get people begging to take action with me. And I don't know how to just do that myself. I had my daughter made about $1,000 a couple weekends ago when she taught a little class and program. She's 11 years old. She made $1,000 on the weekend, and it was just in 2 hours. Okay. So I can teach this to kids now. So I'm going to give you the template. It's a 1, 2, 3. And then you can fill in the blank. And my coaching to you is that if you want to learn how to master this, you need to seek help. Just the fact when I got this formula from Jerry, it was difficult for me to implement on my own. When I got the formula of how to write a book on my own and went out to go do it, or I got the formula of how to publish it, or I got the formula on how to do my marketing, or my video sales letter, or whatever it is, for some reason, I need more help than the average guy or the average gal. I need a mentor. I need someone to sit there and help me and hold my hand and hold me accountable. And now that is my entire business. Yes, I will give you my secrets on my podcast. Yes, I will give them to you in my webinar. Yes, I won't hold anything back. You can read it all about everything in my book. But the core of my business, the core of how I wake up every morning and live every single day is to help people to hold their hand through the process to make sure that they implement just like Jerry did with me. Just so that not only do you get it intellectually, but there's a big difference between learning something and living it. And then there's a whole nother world when it comes to leading it. It is learn it, live it, lead it. And then the fastest way to do that is to find a mentor who's already excellent at this and then helping you. I volunteer to be that mentor if you'd like to work with me and help you craft a powerful story that can change people's lives. I'd love to tell you more stories, but we got to wrap it into the content because you're like, dude, where's the damn secrets? Let me give you the template. Promise is number one. Number one is promise. Number 2 is parable, problem, story. Number 3 is proof. Promise, problem, proof. Now the problem, so let me go ahead and give this to you. I'm going to break it down on actually the content of today's episode. Okay? Could have done this in a variety of different ways. I just ripped this though, and I wrote down these names. Promise, parable, problem, story is number 2. Proof is number 3. And then actually a call to action at the end. It's like a bonus. It's making sure that I give somebody I tell you what to go do next. Now I break this down for you. At the beginning of the podcast, if you go back and listen to it, I asked you some questions, and I asked you if you would like to become a powerful storyteller. And then I promised you that I'd give you 3 secrets to do it, and I told you what these secrets would give you. The secrets would help you get people's attention, and one of the ways you do that is by asking questions. That's one of the ways that you can do it. It's not the only way, it's one of the ways. You can also put bouncing boobs on trampolines if you're trying to sell Bud Light or something like that, right? And there's different audiences. You need to be clear about who you're helping, and there's a lot of things about getting people's attention. But the biggest problem most people have is they live in obscurity, meaning nobody knows you. They don't know what you do. They don't know what you're great at. They don't know your stories. They don't understand. The second thing, to get attention and to get attention from people that gets them to suck in, to come inside your world, is to tell a powerful story or parable. It could be your example, which I like to lead with, your own problem. It's a parable problem story, a one where you get to tell them an example of you where you used to suck wind. Now, it doesn't have to be you. I use the story of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz all the time. and I'll use that as a parable. You could use George Washington chopping down the cherry tree. It doesn't matter. You can use a famous story. You could use Scooby-Doo. You need to introduce a parable problem story that matches with your audience, that they can go ahead and understand. See, what happens when you tell a powerful story? I just was on a podcast today, and they were talking about adversity. That's the podcast name. It's From Adversity to Advantage. And we were talking about how you use your adversity, your vulnerability story, your problem story about how you overcame insurmountable odds. What happens when you learn how to tell a powerful story is people don't just listen to your story. There's a second story going on inside their head, and it's their story. When you tell a story from the bottom of your heart and from your soul, and it's a story of your truth, what happens is that people go into a hypnotic state and they experience their own universe. They experience their own story. You want to remind somebody of where they grew up, when they were a little kid, and how it felt like to be a little kid, or how it felt like to go through failures. All you need to do is talk about your stories as a little kid. You want them to visit their home? Go ahead and tell them a story about you going back to your home. You want them to experience their pain and problems and suffering? Tell a story about how you went through a pain and problem suffering story. And what happens is they will experience their own. On today's podcast, I opened up an old wound for myself when my dog Isis died. And when she died, I felt a lot of grief and a lot of guilt because she died right outside my house, right outside my yard, and she ran across the street and got hit by a car. And I'm sure that's happened to probably someone you know, maybe someone you know really well. Maybe looking back in the mirror, if you've ever lost a pet, it's a very yucky time. But what I did is I told that story, and I associated to how it made me feel at the time and what I learned from it and the gifts I got on the back end of it, because it was a focus of there's good things and gifts that come, even the stuff that sucks. And as I told that story and I associated to the questions and the problems and the fear and what I learned from it, what happened is the gal that was interviewing me, her name is Petra, amazing gal. She experienced her own story. She went back to experience the feelings that she had of animosity and challenges that she had with her stepfather. Now, I was talking about a dog, but she went ahead and was almost near tears and got emotional about her relationship with another human when I'm talking about a dog. When you tell powerful stories, what you do is not only do you get their people's attention, you get to pull them in and attract them to your message, because what they end up feeling and becoming attracted to is what they see in you and what they feel in what they recognize in themselves. I have a belief that we can't see anything in another human that we can't already recognize inside of ourselves. That's good or bad. So if you see evil in someone, if you see good in someone, I think the reason that we cry when we see an amazing movie or someone win at the Olympics and then overcoming all odds, that what we do is when we see greatness in them, we get emotional and choked up because we see greatness in ourselves. And learning how to become a powerful storyteller and having this craft, make a big fat promise that gets people's attention. Ask questions, see if they're all interested to coming in and being attracted to this message. And then instead of jumping in and telling people how freaking cool you are and how awesome your shit is and how good your car looks and all that crap, tell a story that reveals your authenticity and vulnerability. And then what you want to back that up with in step number 3 is proof. Notice at the end of my story, I told you how I made my first $1 million in a business that I almost shut down and felt like a crack addict. So I made a connection between the promise, the problem story, and the proof. And then I went on to talk about the other times that this has shown up for me in other mediums. Because most likely you've been a powerful storyteller in some part of your life. You're probably married or have a girlfriend, or you got the job or the dog or the house, or you were able to negotiate something with someone and you influence people. And in some ways, you're probably already a phenomenal storyteller, even if it's just that you'd like to tell cool jokes or dirty jokes or whatever it is. But in the context of influence and getting everything you want and taking your life to the next level and publishing your book and publishing your podcast and monetizing your mission, you probably need some help. And so what I did is I aligned with you potentially, And I said, hey, when I changed my message here, I needed help. When I changed my message there, I needed help. When I had the same message, but I put it on a different channel, I needed help. So now I have someone to help me with my Instagram, and I have someone to help me with my Facebook, and I have someone to help me with my LinkedIn, and I have someone to help me with my YouTube videos. Each one of those is different. I have someone to help me with my email copy and the copy that I write. See, I've surrounded myself with people who are expert at these different things, and I've crafted simplicity. I've turned a lot of complicated things into simple things. I now have people like run some of that marketing for me so I don't have to. When it comes to the powerful storytelling, I've surrounded myself, well, I have systems and protocols, and I'm giving you one of them. And then, so I'm proving it to you with the reality of where my feet have walked. And then I tell you stories about the results that I've created for my clients. And to add that, I'm going to uncover what I'm sharing with you right now. Proof is telling you a story about someone else who I have helped to create that result. And didn't I tell you about my daughter, Phoenix? And I said, hey, she just did that. She's 11 years old. She made $1,000 last weekend or a couple weekends ago. And then I could open up the story and I could tell you about how Lisa Chastain came in and did not know what her book was going to be about. She just knew she needed one. She needed one for her credibility. She needed one so she could get on stage. She needed one so she could build a following. She didn't even have a Facebook account with more than 5 people on it. She had no following whatsoever. And I shared with her a strategy of how she could go ahead and start telling her story that day, like that right now, and make a declaration to the world that she's going to publish her new book. And what she did is she was able to, through understanding, working with my wife a little bit as well on the path to cash, on having a path to monetize your mission. We'd already done that with her. So all I had to do was give her the script and she could go out, and over the next 30 days, she made over $12,000 because she added new clients. And you're like, what do you mean? How could she do that? Did she sell her book? Do people bought her book? I don't understand. How'd she get that done in 30 days? She didn't write a book, guys. She used the power of the fact that she was writing the book to open the conversation to get more people to buy her products and services, because we had already done the other thing that you need to do is figure out the path to monetize your mission. And we'd already done that with her. And we explained to her the process and the storytelling and the scripts to use and what to say and then to make it her own. And she went out and she nailed it. And if you think that's a unique thing, by now, actually what happened is Lisa now has her book out. It's a #1 international best-selling book. It's been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine and in Oprah Magazine, and she's been asked to be the keynote speaker at major events. She averaged $15,000 a month in 2017 in her income. Like, the chick is a badass. She's an implementer. She learned something and she does it, but she learned it and was able to master it because she jumped in with both feet, and she spent a lot of time with me and a lot of time with my wife, and she entered our mentoring program and our mastermind program to spend more time with us so she could master the skill just like Jerry did. Notice I am providing you proof of what it takes to go ahead and take action. Now, there is a call to action that's coming. My call to action to you, almost every podcast that I give, is to do something, to write in your journal, to talk to a friend, to do some research, to find a book, to write a book, to read a book, to download this, to do that. I've been training you. I want you to go do something. I don't want you to be passive. I want you to write notes. I want you to learn. I want you to grow. I want you to get some experience of implementing something instead of just listening and being entertained. And if you think my daughter is unique, then that's fine. She's blood. But is Lisa unique? Maybe, because she went out and took actions. But I have a new friend and client who I just interviewed on my, I have a 6-month program that I work with authors and business owners, and he's part of that group now. And in my first coaching session with him, and module 1 of my Epic Author Publishing course, he went out and in the next 30 days generated $17,000 in recurring monthly income from the first module of my course and my first blueprint coaching session with him. And this just happened. I just interviewed him on Monday of this week when you're listening to this podcast. Okay? So this is a recurring theme. So what did I just do? I just recapped, and I'm just deconstructing this podcast. Went a little longer than I wanted, but there's coaching and training and so freaking much in this. I wanted to give it to you. Promise, problem, proof. And you've probably heard me say that before. I've done this on previous episodes. But I modified the parable problem story to be inserted before you teach a point. It's really important to talk about a parable that overcomes a problem story. And I showed you that you can tell that story about yourself. and you can share that story about others, and both provide that proof and gets people to almost at some stage, hopefully, be begging to take action with you. And now my call to action is all you got to do is reach out to me and ask for help. I want help. That's it. I want you to reach out and say, hi, I would like some help. That's it. And if you don't want my help, don't ask. But if you'd like my help, you reach out. Then you're like, well, how do I reach out? You should download my app. On every one of my podcasts, I give you the call to action to download my podcast, so you can have all my cool stuff that's there. At the end of, as soon as I stop talking, there's going to be a trailer that goes out and is like, get more of my awesome stuff. Download my app. Get my app. On there is a way to go ahead and book an appointment with me. I have very few personal one-on-one appointments still available, but you can just send me an email. You can send me a text message. You can reach out to me on social media. You can come knock on my front door. I don't know how you want to communicate, but pick your methodology. Send smoke signals. Maybe I'll pick it out. You can meditate about it, and maybe I'll show up in your dreams. I don't know, but all you got to do is say, brother, I would love to get your help with that. On powerful storytelling, on publishing my book, on improving my marketing, on taking my life to the next level, and getting some help with the challenges I'm going through. I don't know if I am your guy. I don't know if my program for this, that, or the other is going to be the perfect fit. But if you want help, I care about you. You're investing time with me. I want to give to you. If you don't reach out and ask for help, ain't nobody coming to your rescue. I tell an amazing story about that, but it's already been going on a little while. Hopefully you got some value out of today. Promise, parable, problem, story, proof, and a call to action, a CTA. That's the bonus here. My bonus to you is to do something. Go download my book. Go read some. Actually, screw that. You can go get more content from me. That's not going to be a problem. Ask for help. Find me through the app. Find me through one of my programs. Join us for our 30-day goal setting challenge, goal getting and goal setting challenge. And I can't wait to help you with your book, your message, and make a difference in the world. So I'll see you tomorrow. I've got more coolness coming at you. I don't remember what tomorrow's episode is going to be about, but I'm sure it's going to be badass. And I'll talk about that here really soon. Tomorrow. I'll be talking about that tomorrow. All right. Have a great one.
To get even more awesomeness, which means all my best stuff, download my app by texting Trevor to 36260. It will show up right on your cell phone. Just text message the word Trevor to 36260. Talk to you soon.